there is a moment when logic says stop. When the cliff is too steep, the gorge too deep, the sea too wide. Most people standing at that edge turn around and walk away. But some do not. Some look at a vertical rock face 9,000 feet above the world and decide to build a house on it. Some look at a spire of stone with no path to the top and build a monastery there anyway, hauling every brick up in a rope basket, knowing that a single frayed strand means death. These are the impossible places. Structures raised where nature had already said no. Some were built for faith, some for war, some out of desperation, and some out of pure, staggering ambition. But all of them share one thing. Here, there is no margin and no second chance. One mistake changes everything forever. One. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, Italy. The most famous accident in architectural history. Construction began in the 12th century, and by the time the builders had finished only the third floor, the tower was already sinking, its shallow foundation resting on soft, unstable subsoil left behind by an ancient shoreline. Astonishingly, they kept building. Work was halted for decades at a time by war, which almost certainly saved the tower by allowing the soil to settle. Engineers made the upper floors taller on the sinking side, attempting to curve the structure back toward vertical, which is why the tower today is subtly banana-shaped rather than straight. By the late 20th century, the lean had grown so severe that collapse was considered imminent, and the tower was closed to the public. It was rescued not by propping it up, but by carefully extracting soil from beneath the higher side, allowing it to settle gently back. It still leans, and it always will. A wonder born entirely from failure, refusing to finish falling. Two. BIVACCO BUFFA, Giarferide. Perrero, Italy. Often called the loneliest house in the world, this small wooden shelter clings to a sheer cliff face on Monte Cristallo at around 2,760 meters, more than 9,000 feet above sea level. There is no road, no path, and no back door. There is only rock above and hundreds of meters of empty air below. It was built during the First World War, when the Dolomites became the front line of a conflict so brutal and so surreal that it earned its own name, the White War. Italian and Austro-Hungarian troops fought each other across peaks and glaciers where artillery fire triggered avalanches that buried men by the hundreds. Alpine soldiers hauled every plank, brick and nail up that rock face by rope ladder and cableway. Then lived suspended between the enemy and the abyss. Restored in recent years after its roof collapsed under snow, it stands as a haunting reminder of what people will build when the alternative is dying in the open. Three. TOURLITIS Lighthouse, Greece. Off the Greek island of Andros stands a structure that looks conjured from a fairy tale. A slender white tower balanced on a single spire of rock jutting straight out of the Aegean Sea, its base narrowed and undercut by waves that have been carving it for thousands of years. There is no bridge and no causeway. A spiral staircase is cut directly into the stone itself, winding up from the waterline to the tower above. To reach it, keepers had to arrive by boat and climb, and in rough weather they could not come at all. Built in the late 19th century, it was destroyed during the Second World War and left in ruin for decades before being faithfully rebuilt in the 1990s. Today it operates automatically, its light sweeping the dark water without a soul aboard. But the rock beneath it is still being eaten away, a little more with every storm. It is beauty standing gracefully on ground that will not last forever. Four. The Monasteries of Meteora, Greece. In central Greece, the earth erupts into enormous pillars of rock, worn smooth over millions of years, rising hundreds of meters straight out of the plain, like stone fingers reaching for heaven. Balanced impossibly on their summits sit ancient monasteries. The name Meteora means fittingly suspended in the air. These were not built for the view. In the 14th century, raiders swept through the region, burning everything in their path. And monks seeking safety climbed higher than any army would dare to follow. For centuries, everything needed to build and sustain these monasteries, stone, timber, food, water, and the monks themselves, was hauled up in rope baskets and nets, one precarious load at a time, dangling hundreds of feet above the rocks below. Legend says that when visitors asked how often the ropes were replaced, the monks answered simply, "Only when they break." They built anyway, creating frescoed chapels and libraries that seemed to float above the morning mist. Five. El Caminito del Rey, Spain. For decades, this was widely known as the most dangerous walkway on Earth, a narrow concrete path pinned to the sheer walls of a gorge in southern Spain, roughly 100 meters above the river below. It was built in the early 20th century for workers servicing a hydroelectric plant, and over the following decades it crumbled catastrophically. Entire sections fell away into the canyon, leaving nothing but exposed steel rails and gaping voids where the floor had been. Handrails rusted and vanished completely. Yet thrill seekers crossed it anyway, edging along bare beams barely wide enough for a boot, gripping the rock face with their fingertips, and several people died in the attempt. The path was eventually closed for years before being rebuilt as a safe modern walkway. But look down through the gaps in the new boards and you can still see the shattered original hanging beneath your feet. Six. PREDJAMA Castle, Slovenia. A fortress built directly into the mouth of a cave, wedged beneath an overhanging cliff more than 100 meters high. It is the largest cave castle in the world, and its design was a work of tactical genius. The mountain itself formed the rear walls, meaning no army could ever surround it or breach it from behind. Better still, a network of secret natural tunnels ran deep through the rock behind the castle, allowing defenders to slip out unseen and gather food and supplies even while under siege. Legend tells of a rebellious knight who withstood a long siege here by using those hidden passages, taunting the army below by throwing them fresh cherries to prove he was not starving, until a bribed servant finally betrayed him. The castle still sits today in the stone jaws of the cliff, half building and half mountain, impossible to tell where one ends and the other begins. Seven. SIGIRIYA, Fortress Sri Lanka. A colossal column of hardened magma rises 200 meters straight out of the surrounding jungle. And on its flat summit, a king built a palace. In the 5th century, a ruler who had seized the throne from his own father chose this rock as an unassailable capital. And what he created there was astonishing. Elaborate water gardens, terraced pools, and delicate frescoes painted directly onto the sheer rock face that still glow with color today, more than 1,500 years later. The final ascent to the summit passes between two enormous carved stone paws. All that survives of a gigantic lion gateway through which visitors once climbed into the mouth of the beast itself. Every stone, every tile, and every drop of water was carried up by hand. After the king's death, the palace became a monastery. And eventually, the jungle swallowed it whole for centuries. (8) Charles KUONEN. Suspension Bridge, Switzerland? Nearly 500 meters of steel walkway strung across an alpine valley in the Swiss Alps, and at its narrowest point, the deck is just 65 centimeters wide. That is barely wider than your own shoulders. Beneath your feet is an open metal grating rather than a solid floor, which means you can see straight down through the walkway to the ground, roughly 85 meters below at the deepest point. It sways gently as you walk, and it hums audibly in the wind. It was built to replace an earlier bridge that had been damaged by rockfall, restoring a popular hiking route through terrain where falling stone remains a constant and genuine threat. Crossing takes only about 10 minutes, which sounds comfortably brief until you are standing exactly in the middle, suspended in open air with nothing but mountains and emptiness on every side. (9) Aiguilles du Midi, SKYWALK, France. At 3,842 meters in the French Alps, a glass box protrudes from the side of a mountain peak. And stepping into it means standing on nothing at all. They call it step into the void. The floor, the walls, and the ceiling are all transparent glass. And beneath your feet, the mountain drops away for more than 1,000 meters of sheer, uninterrupted nothing. Visitors must wear soft cloth slippers to protect the glass surface, which somehow makes the experience worse, because you can feel the smooth panel through thin fabric with an abyss directly below. To reach it, you ride one of the highest cable cars in the world, ascending so rapidly that altitude sickness is a genuine risk for unprepared visitors. The view stretches across the Alps toward the summit of Mont Blanc, if you can persuade yourself to look up rather than down. (10) MILLAU Viaduct, France. A road built above the clouds. Spanning the gorge of the Tarn Valley in southern France, this cable-stayed viaduct stretches nearly 2.5 kilometers. With a deck soaring around 270 meters above the ground and a tallest mast reaching over 340 meters, making it taller than the Eiffel Tower. On misty mornings, drivers cross it with thick cloud pooling in the valley beneath them, creating the genuinely unnerving sensation of driving across open sky with no land visible on either side. It was designed by the British architect Norman Foster together with the French structural engineer Michel Villageux, and its slender white pylons were deliberately shaped to look almost delicate, disguising the immense forces they carry. Completed in 2004, it is widely regarded as one of the most beautiful bridges ever constructed anywhere in the world. (11) SIDU River Bridge, China. Suspended roughly 496 meters above a canyon floor in Hubei province, this bridge hangs so high above the ground that the Empire State Building could stand comfortably beneath it with room to spare. When it opened in 2009, it was the highest bridge in the world, connecting two mountaintops that had been separated by impassable terrain for the whole of human history. But its construction produced one of the strangest engineering stories ever recorded. The gorge was so wide and so deep that no conventional method could carry the first pilot cable across the gap. Helicopters were impractical and boats were useless, so the builders solved the problem by firing the line across using a rocket. To this day, it remains the only major bridge in the world whose first cable was established by rocketry. Traffic now crosses a chasm so vast it swallows sound entirely. (12) SEIKAN Tunnel, Japan. Beneath the Tsugaru Strait runs one of the most audacious tunnels ever dug, connecting the Japanese islands of Honshu and Hokkaido. It stretches roughly 54 kilometers in total, with about 23 kilometers running directly beneath the seabed, descending to some 240 meters below sea level at its deepest point. The strait above is notoriously violent, and the entire project was driven by tragedy after ferries sank there in a typhoon with devastating loss of life. Construction took decades, and it cost the lives of dozens of workers who battled catastrophic conditions underground, including floods that burst through the rock and filled the tunnels with seawater. Engineers had to inject grout continuously into fractured stone just to hold the sea back long enough to keep digging. Today, trains pass silently through the darkness, with the weight of an entire ocean pressing down overhead. "12 structures, 12 places where people looked at something impossible and decided to build it anyway. Some stand as monuments to faith, some to war, and some to sheer defiance of the ground beneath them. But all of them ask the same quiet question. What is it in us that refuses to accept the edge? If this journey amazed you, Tap the subscribe button below and watch it light up, because the world is full of impossible places still waiting for us to find them. Until next time, keep exploring this extraordinary planet we all call home.